Alright, so today we're going to talk about the rear bumper. Now, in a previous video, I went around and used a plastic restore on all of the big plastic Tonka pieces that's all over the Xterra. And it looks really good. I'm very happy with it. In fact, that was about a week ago and it still looks really good. The problem is now is that there's a metal bumper on the rear of the Xterra. Now looks even more sad than it did before. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove this today. Now, I'm going to remove it to paint it, but if you have any damage to your rear bumper fascia on the left or right, your side steps, or your step pad, this is the video for you, because I'm going to end up removing all of that from the rear of the truck just to get to this steel bumper and paint it. So I'm going to start by removing the left and right fascia, and then the step pad, the lights, and then rip the bumper off, sand it down, and give it a good paint job. Let's get started. Alright, so we're starting on the passenger side. No particular reason, just picked one and went with it. You want to first take your mud flap off, and then you got a few screws here in the front edge of this bumper fascia that you need to remove. Now for the back side here, there is a little body clip style panel. And I'm just using a flathead screwdriver, and I actually, this is just a piece of junk, so I bent the tip of it to help get these body panels out. Makes it a lot easier. So just get your screwdriver in there, kind of twist a little bit until that body panel clip comes out. All right, perfect, that's out. And then as far as I can tell, those are the only, that's the only body panel clip for the actual mud flap. For the rest, I have a little stubby screwdriver that I'm employing because I really want to avoid having to lift the truck, take the tire off, and all that noise just to get this mud flap off. So I'm going to try it with this. If you don't have this, you may have to either get a 90-degree ratchet with a Phillips head bit on it, or lift the truck and take the tire off. So I'm going to use this, and hopefully I can get all of them out with this one here. This is almost out, but I do have, there is another body clip right on the back side as well, on the outside of the mud flap that I didn't notice before. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. Alright, so I removed that, and it appears that all the screws that hold in your mud flap are actually the screws that needed to be removed for the front fascia, except for this top one right here. So other than that, the mud flap is the rest of them. So I'm going to remove this guy, and then we're done with this part. Now that the screws in the front of the fascia are removed, you need to take out the two bolts here, holding it in from the inside of the rear door jamb. These are just regular 10 millimeters, so you just want to remove those so you can start pulling it off. Alright, so there's one more body panel clip on the rear of the fascia near the back bumper. So we got to remove that with our flat head or whatever tool you have. And of course it's going to break apart. It's alright.
2,000 years later.
Alright, now this one I had to employ some extra help with some pliers. You can actually reach the back of this pretty easily from behind the fascia. But you have to just loosen it enough that you'll be able to push it through. So I started to break the actual little piece here in the center, so I didn't want to go too much further because I want to be able to reuse these. But it is 10 years old, so it gets brittle, so just be careful with these. So we're ready to actually remove the fascia, but you want to use caution here. There's a few clips up here on the upper left, and I think there might be one or two right here. So when you're pulling this off, just make sure to favor this side so you're not, putting a lot of tension on it and warping or bending your plastic. So I'm going to start from the inside, pop those out, all right, and then come from the bottom and slide it out. There we go. So the fascia's off, and I just want to make sure I didn't do any damage to it. Looks like I may have broken this little piece here. This holds on to a clip in the upper left, so I may have put a little too much pressure on that, but just just kind of pull from the bottom to kind of get the fascia away from the top of the body, and then pull away, and you should be able to avoid that. All right, moving on. I went ahead and removed the other fascia because it's the exact same method to take the other side off as it was to do the first side. But next, what we're going to do is we're going to remove the step pad, and then the license plate lights, and then the actual bumper. So the step pad itself, I believe, is just held down by some clips. So we're just going to yank that up, and then we can start taking the license plate lights off, and then obviously the bumper itself. So the step pad, I'm just going to give it a yank and see if that's on there. Yep, I think it's just clips. There we go. That's the easiest part. So after that, there is just a few clips down below that hold in the actual license plate lights. So I'm going to bring in my other camera here and show you how to remove those. Alright, so we are on the underside of the vehicle, on the back of the bumper, and right here is the one of the license plate lights. So you just want to remove the license plate light itself by just turning this and then gently pulling out because there's a bulb attached. Just kind of wiggle it out. Alright, so that's out. And then there's a bracket that holds the actual assembly in, and it just has this metal clip here. And we just want to kind of yank down on that. So I'm going to just pull. Alright. Alright, so be extra careful on that. And then once that's out, this will just slide right out of the assembly. And that's it. So in what seems to be becoming a habit of mine, I hurt my hand removing that clip on the back of one of the license plate lights. So use extreme caution when removing those. So we have blood and sweat into the job, and I haven't cried yet, but we're about halfway through, so there's still a chance. So we're on to removing the actual bumper. Now that we have those removed, there are 3 large bolts in both sides of the bumper holding onto the car. So we're going to remove those, and then there might be some electrical connectors that we need to pull away from the bumper. I don't know exactly, it's hard to see where exactly they're attached through the back. So we're going to remove the 6 bolts, pull it off, and see what we have. Moving on. Alright, so here are the 3 large bolts we need to remove, and now that I'm back under here again, it actually looks like the electrical connector for the lights is right here. So you can actually just push those from the back side. I'm just using my fingers, but if you want to use a tool or whatever, that's fine. So remove that, and I believe it strings along here, along the front a ways, that we may have to remove once the bumper's off. So we're going to start by removing these. I'm assuming that we're going to need a breaker bar since it looks like a pretty hefty bolt. And also this is a 19 millimeter, so here we go. Alright, so 2 quick notes here. First of all, this bolt here, actually it has a cutout in the bumper. So there is, you don't actually have to remove that, you just have to loosen it. And then secondly, when you're ready to take the last bolt out, you want to just grab like a jack stand or a jack itself, just to make sure that you have something for the bumper to sit on when you start removing the other side of the bumper. So I'm going to take this last bolt out on this side, and then we'll go ahead and remove them on the other side and take the bumper off. Alright, so all 6 bolts are out, the 3 on each side. And I went ahead and removed the electrical connectors that were attached to the side of the bumper on the driver's side. And so it's loose. I left those 2 guiding bolts in, so you just want to pull away. Alright, so it's loose. I'm going to set that down. And then there is the connector to the actual license plate lights themselves that you just want to disconnect. There you go. So there's our bumper. We have our bumper out here, and I'm just gonna quickly give it a rub down with some sandpaper, make sure it's clean, and then I'm just gonna do a nice coat of rust inhibiting paint. So I went ahead and sanded it, and really I'm just doing this for aesthetic reasons. So I really just sanded down the area that you see from the rear of the truck. The actual bumper's in really good condition. There's not really very many rust spots. There's not any real visible damage that ever occurred to it. So I'm just gonna spray the front, and I'm also gonna spray any spots where I see any rust forming. I'll sand that down and spray those, but I already went ahead and did that. So now we're just gonna paint it. Just remember, when you're painting, nice even strokes. Don't don't rest the paint can over the item that you're spraying. Kind of like sweeping back and forth motions as you're painting. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll wait for it to dry, probably do another coat, and then get it back on the truck. All right, wow, this is hideously ugly. I was not aware that this paint was metallic. Nowhere on the can did it say metallic or a fake chrome, which if you know anything about me, know that I hate fake chrome. So I luckily had another can just lying around of actual gray, not fake chrome garbage. So let's just pretend that was a base coat, and now we're putting on the top coat. Much, much better. Now that the bumper's dry and we have our final coat of paint on it, we're ready to reassemble. Literally, the steps are just do the exact opposite of what we did to take it off. All done. All right, so that concludes it. The bumper's back on, and frankly, it looks awesome. It looks like I just ran off and bought a brand new one. So a few little words of caution. Really, the biggest thing you have to worry about is when you take off these side fascias, just be really careful, especially if your truck's older. Mine's, like I said, 10 years old, so this plastic will get brittle over time. I snapped a few little pieces off, just little connectors, really not a big deal because there's a lot of screws in here in the front. But at the end of the day, make sure that you're careful with pulling it off. You certainly don't want to break it to the point you have to go get a new one, right? It's probably $1,000 at Nissan, knowing them. Secondly, those body panel clips, you have the screws up front and the body panel clips in the rear and in the back. If you have some of those, keep them around, keep them at hand. I broke one of mine. To be honest, I really don't care. I didn't put it back in, and I'm not terribly worried about it. But if you are worried about it, buy some before even starting the job. If you have to use the truck. For me, it's really no big deal, so I just left it as is. Also, the rear panel, just be careful. Or excuse me, the rear step pad. Be careful yanking that up. That's nothing but clips. Again, if you start from one end and just keep pulling, you might put way too much tension on it. Other than that, I hope this video helps someone remove their bumper. Hopefully you don't have damage, replacing damage, but for me it was just a little bit of paint to freshen up the look. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, leave them in the comments below, and thanks for watching.